Hello, Americans, and have you noticed your grocery bill going up? It seems like every time we go to the store, prices are higher and the shelves are a little emptier. Well, today we're talking about 6 common grocery items that could become a lot harder to find and, more importantly, more expensive after September. We're diving deep into why these shortages are happening. Is it supply chain issues, weird weather, or something else entirely? We're going to break it all down so you can understand exactly what's going on. But most importantly, I'm going to give you actionable advice on how to prepare. We're talking about simple steps you can take now to make sure you and your family are ready. So, let's jump in and make sure your pantry is stocked with these essentials before they're gone. First up, let's talk tomatoes. We're not just talking about fresh tomatoes, but all tomato products, canned tomatoes, tomato paste, sauces, you name it. These are staples in so many of our kitchens, but the reality is, they could be in short supply very soon. So why are tomatoes becoming the new hot commodity? Well, it's a perfect storm of problems.
California, which grows a huge chunk of the tomatoes in the US, has been hit with drought after drought. Less water means fewer tomatoes, and that drives up prices for everyone. And it's not just the US. Italy, another major tomato producer, is facing similar issues with drought and extreme heat. They're calling it the worst drought in decades, and it's impacting their tomato harvest big time.
Then you've got transportation costs. Getting those tomatoes from the farm to your plate is more expensive than ever thanks to rising fuel prices and labor shortages. All of this adds up, and unfortunately, it's the consumer who ends up paying the price. Now you might be thinking, okay, so tomatoes are expensive, I can live without them. But it's not just about skipping your favorite pasta sauce. This impacts restaurants, food manufacturers, basically anyone who uses tomatoes in their products. That means higher prices across the board. Your favorite pizza place might have to raise prices. Your go-to jar of salsa could cost more. It all trickles down. So what can you do? We'll get to that later in the video, but for now, just know that stocking up on some canned tomatoes might not be a bad idea. Next up is a big one, rice. This is a staple food for billions of people around the world, and unfortunately, the global rice market is in a bit of a crisis right now. We're talking about some of the biggest disruptions in decades, and experts are predicting high prices and tight supplies well into next year. So what's causing the great rice shortage of 2024?
Well, like with tomatoes, it's a combination of factors. India, the world's largest exporter of rice, has been hit hard by erratic monsoon rains. These rains are crucial for their rice production, and when they're off, it directly impacts how much rice they can grow. And it's not just India. Drought in other major rice-producing countries like Thailand and Vietnam is also putting a strain on global supplies. Then you throw in the rising cost of fertilizers and transportation, and you've got a recipe for a serious price hike.
Now you might be thinking, I don't eat that much rice, so I'm good, right? But here's the thing. Even if you're not a huge rice eater yourself, this shortage has ripple effects throughout the entire food system. Rice is used in countless processed foods, from cereals to snacks to beverages. So even if you're not buying bags of rice, you'll likely feel the impact in the form of higher prices on other groceries. And let's not forget about the humanitarian aspect. For many people around the world, rice is a primary food source. When prices skyrocket, it can lead to food insecurity and even hunger. All right, moving on to a pantry staple that's near and dear to my heart, canned tuna. It's affordable, it's convenient, and it's a great source of protein, but unfortunately canned tuna is facing some serious challenges that could lead to shortages and price hikes after September. The biggest issue? Overfishing.
We're simply fishing tuna faster than the populations can replenish themselves. This is especially true for certain species of tuna that are popular for canning, like skipjack and albacore. And it's not just overfishing that's a problem. Climate change is also having a major impact on tuna populations. As ocean temperatures rise, tuna are being forced to move to different areas to find food, which can disrupt their breeding patterns and make it harder for fishermen to find them. Then you've got geopolitical factors. International agreements on fishing quotas are often difficult to negotiate and enforce, which can lead to overfishing and further strain on tuna populations.
Now I know what you're thinking. Graham, you're always talking about saving money, and canned tuna is a staple in your pantry. What are we supposed to do? Well, first of all, don't panic. There are still ways to enjoy canned tuna sustainably. Look for brands that are certified by the Marine Stewardship Council, or MSC. The MSC label ensures that the tuna was caught using sustainable fishing practices that minimize environmental impact. You can also try swapping out canned tuna for other types of sustainable seafood, like sardines, mackerel, or even plant-based alternatives. And of course, reducing your overall consumption of canned tuna can also make a difference.
Let's face it, eggs are a breakfast staple. But what if I told you that your morning omelet could soon be a luxury? Unfortunately, after September, eggs are likely to face significant challenges in availability and affordability. One of the biggest culprits, avian influenza, also known as bird flu. This highly contagious virus has been wreaking havoc on poultry farms worldwide, leading to the culling of millions of birds, including egg-laying hens.
This has put a massive dent in egg production, driving up prices and leading to shortages in some areas. And it's not just bird flu that's causing problems. The cost of feeding chickens has skyrocketed due to global inflation and supply chain disruptions. Corn and soybeans, the main ingredients in chicken feed, have seen their prices soar, making it more expensive to raise chickens for egg production.
On top of that, many countries are implementing more stringent animal welfare regulations, which, while positive for the chickens, can also increase the cost of egg production. These regulations often require larger cages, more space per bird, and other measures that can impact a farm's bottom line.
So, what does this mean for your breakfast plate? Well, be prepared to shell out more for your eggs. Prices have already been on the rise, and this trend is likely to continue. You might also see fewer choices at the grocery store, with some brands or types of eggs becoming harder to find. Last but not least, let's talk about wheat. This humble grain is the backbone of countless food products, from bread and pasta to cereals and pastries. But unfortunately, wheat products are facing mounting pressures that could lead to significant shortages and price increases after September. One major factor is the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Both Russia and Ukraine are major wheat exporters, and the war has severely disrupted global wheat supplies. With ports blockaded and trade routes disrupted, getting wheat from these breadbaskets of the world to the rest of us has become a logistical nightmare. And it's not just geopolitical events that are causing problems. Climate change is also throwing a wrench in the works. Extreme weather events like droughts, floods, and heat waves are becoming more frequent and severe, impacting wheat yields in major producing regions around the world. Then you've got the issue of rising input costs. Fertilizers, pesticides, and fuel have all seen their prices skyrocket in recent months, making it more expensive for farmers to grow wheat. These increased costs are often passed down the supply chain, eventually impacting the price consumers pay at the grocery store. So, what does this mean for your next sandwich? Well, be prepared to pay more for bread, pasta, and other wheat-based products. You might also see some of your favorite items disappear from shelves altogether as supplies tighten. So, there you have it, 6 everyday groceries that could become a lot harder to find in the coming months. I know it can be overwhelming to hear about these potential shortages, but the good news is, there are things you can do to prepare. First, don't panic buy. Start by gradually stocking up on these essential items. Buy a few extra cans of tomatoes, a couple of extra bags of rice, and so on. This will help you weather any potential price hikes or temporary shortages. Second, stay informed. Keep an eye on news reports and grocery store shelves to stay up to date on the latest developments. And finally, don't be afraid to get creative in the kitchen. Explore alternative ingredients and recipes that don't rely heavily on these potentially scarce items. Remember, a little preparation goes a long way. By taking some simple steps now, you can ensure that you and your family are well fed and prepared for whatever the future may hold. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates on critical issues affecting your daily life.